Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is the new Teen Titans Volume 1. And last video I did sort of the number 0 issue or teaser, which was DC Comics Presents number 26. This time I'm doing the actual New Mutants number 1 right here. And so the first issue I thought was pretty good and pretty intriguing. It was a little bit all over the place and could be a little hard to understand in some case. And it is a bit confusing just because I didn't grow up with the new Teen Titans, so it's interesting to read it now compared to the Teen Titans that we see on Cartoon Network, which is honestly awful and a terrible cartoon. But this stuff is this issue was really good. I actually kind of enjoyed reading it. It was very dense, as is comics of the time. But it was interesting to see Marv Wolfman's writing style. It was very unique. So let's get into it. Here we have an introduction of Starfire and her situation. We're in space. She's escaping on the spaceship. These are all slavers, and they're trying to capture her right now, and she's trying to make her escape. Very interesting. Her name is Princess Coriander. And I was like, did he really name her after, like, freaking cilantro? I'm just going to call her Starfire because it's just such a cooler name. But she makes her escape, and they're coming after her, and they even destroy a moon trying to get after her. It really builds up the suspense of this thing. She has to go into warp drive to escape. And we jump over to Robin. This issue is very dense, by the way, because Marv Wolfman has to introduce all the characters more officially. So you get Robin's situation. He wakes up from a dream, and and that was kind of the previous DC Comics Presents number 26. And when he's going and he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on, Raven shows up and explains sort of the situation to him that, hey, that wasn't a dream. This is real. You need to get this team together. Raven's always been, in these early issues, she's very cryptic. I can tell Marv Wolfman's trying to build something up with this character. Just in the early issues right here, she's very mysterious. You don't really know what the hell this character's doing, which is kind of a good thing from a writing perspective. You get interest going in. She goes and she has an interesting little shtick where she gives Robin the phone, and it immediately is Kid Flash, and Kid Flash is like, when talking to Robin, he's like, blow me, dude, I'm busy. And Robin's like, okay, that didn't work, and Raven's like, all right, hang loose, I'll handle this. And Robin goes out to find the other members that Raven needs him to go forth. You get a really interesting thing. So Robin walks by Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Robin actually has kind of a cold response to Bruce. And you get some backstory on Robin's situation, which is him and Batman are not doing, they're not in a good place right now. Robin's kind of dropped out of college. Bruce doesn't like that. And he also is kind of starting to wonder if his identity, as just the sidekick is really what he wants. Marv really puts more depth to Robin, and I kind of like this. This is more interesting, right? The regular Batman and Robin kind of thing, just like people kind of trash on the whole use of Robin, even in the stupid Lego movies they do. And I like this, Robin as his own character, right? We get an introduction of Wonder Girl and her situation. This is interesting because I don't know anything about Wonder Girl, so this was really helpful. You understand she was actually, she was in a fire. Her parents were dead, and the building was crashing all around her. And Wonder Woman saves her and sort of adopts her, takes her to Paradise Island, where she is trained as an Amazon, right? You get the introduction of Changeling, Gar. You also get some insider information that Gar and Donna Troy, who is Wonder Girl, they don't really get along all that well. And also that Changeling, very early on, is sort of introduced as the comedic relief of the group. There's a lot of personalities in the new Teen Titans, and they all kind of mesh pretty well together because all of them are unique. Kid Flash shows up, and Robin is like, what the hell? It's like, dude, you just told me to buzz off, and now you show up. And it's like, well, Raven called, and that's all I needed. And all of them, this is later sort of an interesting thing. We're just sort of like, I noticed the Kid Flash is a dick to all of us, but when Raven's around, he's like, oh yeah, I'm a team player now. So they head off to get their next member, and this is the introduction of Cyborg, and it's really great by Marv Wolfman. This is character. I'm not sure if this character is brand new to this particular series, but you get great writing that introduces the character, right? You realize his situation. He wants to be a normal person. He wants to live a normal life and be, get involved in high school sports, but he really can't anymore because of what has become of him. He's now, not really all human, so it's not really fair for him, and he can't really live a normal life. You also get some insight to his relationship to his father, who he really doesn't get along with. Raven gets introduced right here, and here comes the rest of the crew. This is actually pretty funny. Gar kind of messes around with both Cyborg and the rest. You also get, so Raven heads off to go find their last member, which is Starfire. And you get a pretty funny line from Gar and Donna. And this is actually, I kind of like this just because, Donna doesn't like Gar, but Gar kind of has some fun with it. It actually kind of gives a lot of depth to the relationship between the characters. We go to, they have to go to the UN and fight aliens, which is kind of wacky for a 1980s comic. Pretty inventive. Almost kind of reminds me of Claremont style. Just now it's a DC comic instead, and there's more of mainstay DC techniques being used in the new Teen Titans. But the craziness and the wackiness kind of actually remind me more of a Marvel comic. Pretty nuts. They fight aliens. One thing I will give criticism to is in this page right here, all of the Teen Titans work really well together. They all have no problem using their powers, fighting together, working alongside. This is the first time this team has been made, and for a lot of these people, this is the first time these people have actually met each other today. And it's a little bit, I'm just sort of like, okay, this is not nearly as good right here. This, I think I prefer the way Claremont handled the X-Men, in that they don't really work all that well together because it's the first time they're meeting each other. So it takes many, many issues of practice for them to work as a team. For the new Teen Titans, they just work well together immediately, which is like, okay. That's my one criticism of this issue. It's a little bit unbelievable. So we get an introduction. Here's Starfire. She's being taken care of by these two characters, and you get a little interesting side story. This is Grant Wilson, which will become very important later, but he's having issues with his girlfriend here. His girlfriend basically wants to break up with him. He's trying to stop her. Meanwhile, they're kind of helping out Starfire, who's dealing with a fever or an injury. Raven shows up to rescue her. This alien shows up and just totally trashes Raven and these people here. And it's really cool because you realize Raven, but despite her mysteriousness and her ability to teleport and stuff, she's not invincible and she's not all powerful. So the crew, the rest of the crew shows up, and this is really good writing here because Cyborg, Kid Flash, and Changeling basically get defeated by this alien very easily, and they have to be saved by Robin and Wonder Girl. This is actually really good writing because up until this point, you kind of get the feeling that this team's a little overpowered for a first introduction, but Wolfman kind of brings it back into being realistic as far as your expectations of these characters, right? I'm going to jump ahead right here. Very funny. Kid Flash, very defensive of Raven. It's hinted early on in this issue that Kid Flash has a thing for Raven, which is... It kind of melds in. What I've kind of noticed about the Teen Titans is there's a lot of melodrama and sort of soap opera type of elements, and it works really well because it gets you engaged with these characters, and there's more to these characters than just the action and the conflict going on, right? So our crew shows up on the spaceship to save Starfire. They fight out. Raven and Cyborg go to sabotage the ship, whereas Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Changeling, and Robin go out to rescue Starfire. You also get a really interesting... I like this right here. We're untested. We barely even know each other yet. We're already a team. A team where Robin isn't preceded by Batman and... I like this. Wolfman has really given Robin a lot of depth. And it's a stark change from like the old Batman comics of this time, right? So you get a really funny scene where Changeling helps Cyborg sabotage the ship. This is actually, some of this is actually kind of funny, and I get some of the references. Even though at times I think Wolfman kind of makes Changeling a little too much of a joker. He's almost an unserious character. But it adds a lot of levity to the whole team, right? Raven's kind of dark. Cyborg's always pissed off at his dad. Robin's pissed off at Bruce Wayne. Starfire is kind of like a princess from another world that's dealing with slavers and stuff. Wonder Girl's figuring out, her parents. Kid Flash just wants to get into Raven's pants. But, Gar provides just such diversity to this team, right? And they blow up the ship. They rescue Starfire. You get some foreshadowing by Raven, and even more foreshadowing by the Grant Wilson character that I talked about a little bit a couple pages ago. And overall, it's just an exciting issue, really, really fun. Great handling of multiple different personalities and multiple different sort of subplots and conflicts between the characters. And reading through this issue, it's like this one really drove it home more so than the DC Presents. This was, first off, George Perez's art is fantastic. It's definitely, you can see how this is, what was this sold for? 50 freaking cents? Oh my God, that's actually really good. Damn, dude, comics used to be cheap. You can tell that this was serious effort put into by both the writer and the artist. And it's just, I kind of get it now. Like, I'm starting to feel and understand what made this special. These characters all have different personalities. They all work off of each other. And the conflicts and the plots by Marv Wolfman are really just drivers to getting these characters to interact with each other. It's not like the plot isn't important. Obviously, something is building up with Raven later on. But I can see why this was a special run back in the 80s. Anyhow, that's it. Let me know if you liked this review. Hit the thumbs up if you did. If you're interested in more old comic reviews, 1980s, some oddball reviews too, maybe even a modern comic now and then, please subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications if you do. And if you have any comments on the new Teen Titans #1, leave them down below. And I will see you next time.